Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. Hope you liked the little new countdown timer at the beginning. That was kind of fun. I will definitely explain what's going on there because that was a bit of a fun project to put together. But if you are just joining us, then go ahead and drop something in the chat and let us know where you are joining from. Hi from the Netherlands. Hello, thanks for joining. Good evening from Belgium. Good to see you here. I see a lot of familiar faces. And it's wonderful. Thank you all for joining. Looking forward to hanging out again today and seeing what we've got to chat about. I'm still a bit disorganized here, but I've put together a few new macros for my little buttons on the desk, so hopefully things go a little bit smoother today compared to last week. Greetings from Minneapolis, greetings from Scotland. Hello, Dave from San Francisco. Hi, Mikkel from Gothenburg. Awesome. Well, today I have a couple of fun little updates, and again, of course, we will just answer questions. So, reminder: if you do have a question, to drop it in the chat and mention my full name, Aaron Parecki, and that way it shows up orange on my screen, and I can see it a lot easier that way. So we'll pop over to the chat in a few minutes. So roughly today, I'm going to talk about that countdown timer at the beginning. I had fun putting that together yesterday, so I'll talk about how that works. And I've also got a new microphone again to try, so we'll talk about that and take it out of the box. I'm still on my regular setup right here because I've actually got it in the box to open up. And I've reconfigured things a tiny bit in the studio, so when I get over to the other desk, I will talk about that as well. And yeah, awesome. Thank you all for joining. Good to have you here. Looks like a great crowd in the chat. And I see somebody is trying to mess up my map and drop pins where they shouldn't be. All right, let me see. Oh, I don't know if I can go back to that. Yeah, somehow my macro still includes a picture-in-picture. All right. Let's bring the chat back onto the screen. And with any luck. Yes. Oh, dear. There is a pre-multiplied key was checked. Not quite smooth there. All right. Oh, well. I saw a couple of questions at the beginning about the YOLO box. This is a good question. So the YOLO box only has, it can stream itself, obviously. That's like what it's mainly made for, is for streaming directly to multiple destinations, not just one, YouTube and Facebook and whatever, custom RTMP. It also has an HDMI out. The HDMI out is kind of weird right now. It doesn't work the way you think. It doesn't actually include the full program. It's actually a pass-through of whichever HDMI input is active. So I heard they're working on changing that, but that update isn't out yet. So right now it's essentially a pass-through of whichever input is active. So it's kind of not quite a program out, which means you can't really send it. You can't really use it for Zoom like this because it's not going to include your overlays. And it does not have a USB-C output webcam out like the ATEM. It is meant to be a streaming encoder. It's a streaming device. Like it's portable streaming encoder. That's what it's for. There was another YOLO box question. I thought, yes. How do we connect the ATEM to the YOLO box? This is totally doable. So you could actually run the HDMI out from the ATEM into the YOLO box. For some reason, the USB from the ATEM doesn't work with the YOLO box. I tried that yesterday, and I don't know why, but it doesn't recognize it as a webcam. I kind of expected it would because the ATEM is just a webcam. So I was confused about that, but the HDMI out from the ATEM can run into the YOLO box just fine, and then you can essentially use the YOLO box for your overlays, because you can create them right on the device, which is cool, and streaming to multiple places, and use the ATEM as a switcher, bringing in multiple sources, more than you get on the YOLO box itself. Tried it, but does not have an image. So it should work. I would say maybe try changing the oh my God, frame rate? Is that blanking on my words today? The video standard is what ATEM calls it. The video standard in the ATEM, which is that this button. So if you change that, try changing this to something else, and that might make it work in the YOLO box. It should work though. And we've already got our first super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And there goes the light. When you super chat me through YouTube, my light changes to the same color as the chat message. So thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Ooh, this is exciting. Just got my speed editor. That's awesome. That thing looks amazing. I don't have one. I haven't actually ordered one yet, but I'm really tempted to. The speed editor is for Resolve, so you can, it's like a little keyboard dedicated for video editing in Resolve, and I've heard a bunch of people who've got them already, and I'm a little jealous. I think I want to get one. I've been enjoying using Resolve, and it seems like having a device made for it would make it a lot easier. So that is awesome. I hope you're enjoying it. All right. Yeah, ordered one. Can't wait to get it. Cool. Rick, that monitor over there is there because it's actually in the shot of the other camera. And I also ran out of outlets to put it right here because of how many things I have plugged in. So, oops. I need to work on power wiring a bit. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you, John. I appreciate it. It means a lot. All right. Have I used any of the mini computers running NDI Studio Monitor to link mini ISO to NDI cameras? I haven't used a mini computer, but I have used an Apple TV, and that actually works surprisingly well. There's an NDI Monitor app on Apple TV, and that can go into whatever. It's HDMI out, right? So the ATEM sees it just fine. And it works very well. So that would definitely work with it should work just fine with a PTZ optics camera. I've only used it with my iPhone as a camera, using an NDI camera app on my iPhone. But yeah, totally should work. Okay. I'm going to take a look at, I'm going to get to some of these questions. Let me see. So first I want to talk about the countdown timer. So the countdown timer, that was a fun little thing I put together yesterday, and I decided that I want a timer on my waiting screen, but I want something a little bit nicer than what I've done before, which is I usually just like either have an iPad with a giant clock app, or I use a website, like I think it's bigtimer.net, and it's not super flexible. I don't get to change the colors or really do anything, so all I can do is like shrink it and then try to key out the black background. So I decided to make an actual countdown template for myself. So I opened up After Effects to do this. And in After Effects, I learned just enough to get this to work. But essentially what it is the, let's see, can I get my computer screen and myself? Yes, I can. So in After Effects, what I've got is I've got this little, there's a trick to make the countdown work. It says essentially it's a little bit of code that bases the numbers based on how far in the project you're scrolled, and then those are just numbers placed there, and then the rings are all something I got rid of the background. The ring is another fun little scripty thing that you can do with keyframes. So if you look at like this one, this was the trick, which I was like, I know this has to be possible. If you make a circle, right, there's an ellipse here. Oh, you can't see my mouse again. This is really frustrating. So there is a, can I zoom in on my screen now? I thought there was a zoom option in scroll and zoom. Zoom, no, not that kind of zoom. Where's the like, isn't there like a system-wide zoom? There we go. Scroll gesture. Oh, come on. Scroll gesture with control. Full screen. Let's see if this works. That's what I want. Okay. Oh, you can see my cursor now. Great. So this ellipse, and then I have the trim path is the trick. And you can give it a keyframe to start at 0% going to 100%. And that basically just does that little progress bar. So I have it going around that one for 1 minute around the second marker. And then I have one that goes around the entire, around the 10-minute marker for the whole 10 minutes. There's the minutes ring. And that's the video. So this video is then loaded onto my, what's it called? Video Assist. And the Video Assist is the Video Assist is over there and on the other one feeding in as one of my inputs. Oh, you can see it on the, no, it's too far away. I'll show that in a second. You can see the Video Assist is just playing that video with a black background. Excuse me. And then what makes it all work is the overlay. So I went into Photoshop and made this graphic. So this graphic is the just overlay where I've got my loading screen except for a cutout for the cutout transparency for the countdown. So that makes it show through the video just in those spots. And then it looks like the whole screen is animated. But this also means that it's very easy for me to swap out the graphics in my countdown without re-exporting that video. Because video is just doing the little numbers. And this way I can like swap out the graphics with other pictures if I want to show other things I'm talking about on the stream. I can, change the text and all that very, very quickly. So that was my fun little project yesterday. And I had a lot of fun. Will I make that available for sale on my website? I could. There's honestly not much to it. And it was, I found someone's like countdown timer templates on some stock website. And I was like, I should just learn how to do it. And it took me like 3 seconds of searching for someone's YouTube video to figure out how to do that trim path technique. And then it worked. It's also, I didn't do it as like a template. So nothing is like changeable. It's just an After Effects project. But I mean, I'd be happy to post that because I don't really care about it. It's not like it's particularly unique. It's pretty simple. Cool. And I see there's a whole bunch of new chats. So thank you. I will get to the questions in a second, but from Steve, thank you for the super chat. Any idea why software control does not save images even after update? So it should. There's one thing you have to do though before it will actually save the images, which is somehow I need this button back to switch to this view. The trick is you have to do save startup state. Now my face is blocking it. Let me just move myself down. So you go up to File, Save Startup State. That should then bake the images into the ATEM. Otherwise, it won't. So if I think I added this one just now. So unless I actually go click Save Startup State, then that now actually saves it so that when this thing reboots, it will come back. So if that doesn't work, then I don't know, because that should be all you need to do in order to make that work. And thank you for the super chat. All right. So speaking of that countdown timer, this is how I was switching pre-recorded video, essentially. That is a video clip playing through the ATEM Mini, but it's playing on a device that just plays it out over HDMI. Take a couple questions here. How much bandwidth does it require to stream HD or 4K to YouTube? I've never done 4K streaming because I don't really have any 4K encoders here. I've only streamed at 1080. I stream to YouTube at 6 megabits a second, 30 frames a second. and that seems to be just fine. That's what you're looking at right now. It's it hovers, it varies, but it's averaging about 6 megabits a second to YouTube. If you send much more than that, it turns out YouTube gets angry because it doesn't need any more than that, and it starts glitching out a bit. So that's all it takes to go to YouTube. I've also streamed to Photo Joseph Studio when we were doing the joint shows, and I was streaming to his streaming bridge at like 70 megabits a second because I can upload that much from my network and he has plenty of download bandwidth. So I was sending him a much higher quality feed. The speed editor combined with the ATEM is a great combination because of the speed editor multicam edit. Very cool, right. So when you do a multicam shoot with the ISO and load it into Resolve, then you get to edit that right there. That's awesome. I'm super curious to see how that works out because, yeah, I would love to get even faster with the editing process of Resolve. I connected my ATEM Mini Pro to the yellow box, perfect for graphics. Yeah, awesome. That's great. Let us know what frame rate your ATEM is set to, because I think that might be the trick with making it show up in the yellow box. But yeah, the yellow box is great because you can create the graphics and overlays directly on the device. So like a keyboard pops up on the screen and everything because it's an Android box. And that's a lot easier than having to lug around another computer to push graphics using Photoshop or something. Do I use the ATEM Mini Pro ISO and know why the Resolve file does not show clips in the sync bin? I don't know. I think, so I did open up, the last video I shot, I did on the ISO, and I opened it up and I did notice that it wasn't what I was expecting to see from like if it were a true multicam project. It looked more like it was the video clips and then just dropped into the timeline rather than a multicam clip switching angles in Resolve. So maybe that's the reason. But I haven't done too much with that because I haven't actually done any shoots where I would need to, like, I don't edit these live streams later. Like if you're watching the replay, you're watching what was broadcast live, and my edited videos, I edit way more than just tweaking a live edit. So once I eventually get back out and film conferences again, that's probably when I would dig more into this workflow of using the multicam file that the ISO produces, or the Resolve project that the ISO produces, to edit that. When the internet connection isn't reliable, below 4 megabits, would a solution like Web Presenter offer better streaming instead of directly streaming from the ATEM Mini Pro ISO? I don't know if I would say that necessarily, because the ATEM can adapt to a lower bit rate. Like you can set the ATEM to a lower bit rate, and it also is pretty tolerant of network glitches. So it'll like buffer and then catch back up when it can. So I don't know if I would necessarily switch over to streaming from a computer in that case, because I don't really know what a computer, like you'd have to be using some encoder in the computer, which would then also have different behavior for that low bandwidth. I will say stuff like Zoom and WebEx and all the video conferencing apps, those probably will adapt better to lower bit rates than a streaming encoder will, because those are made to handle terrible connections and do the best they can, which is usually prioritizing audio and then video under that so that something gets across in real time. Here's an interesting question. What is the best audio setup for the ATEM Mini Pro to bring in someone from the outside and include them in your live stream? Playing music together. Playing music together is going to be a trick. I think you're going to need to find special software that can do that. If you're trying to play music with somebody in a studio and remote, there are special pieces of software. I don't remember the names of them because I don't really do this, but that software is made for zero latency, like joint music playing, and you're not going to get anywhere close to that with anything else, really, because it's a pretty hard problem and it's a specialized problem. So if you're just talking about bringing in like one remote studio into your ATEM, the streaming bridge is great for that. So the streaming bridge can catch the output of somebody else's ATEM Mini Pro, and then it shows up as a camera here. And it's not going to be in sync. So like if you look back at the joint show that Joseph and I did last week, if you look really closely when we're both talking back and forth quickly, instead of like I say a sentence and then he says a sentence, but if we're doing back and forth or like reacting to each other, you'll see that it's out of sync because I'm actually about a little bit less than a second behind him. So that's way too much for music though. This is an interesting question. How do I output the ATEM into two devices as a webcam? I guess you would have to use the USB output for one device and then run the HDMI out to another USB capture device for the other one, because it doesn't have a way to do two USB outs. But you could do the HDMI out into a capture card like the Elgato Camlink or another ATEM Mini, any kind of USB capture. That would work. You lose your multi-view though. For looping a video without showing the on-screen menu when looping, you suggested the Mica spec. Yep. Do you think a TV box with a VLC player can do the trick? I think so. I don't like that option because I like this little Mica spec is like $40. Let me go find that. This thing. So this thing is like $40 or something, and it's just a dedicated HDMI. It's just a video player. It takes an SD card, and that you can just like set it to play the first file on start and then just loop, so you never have to touch it. And that's what I like about it, is that you can just put it in a box, put it in your video box behind everything. You don't need it accessible, and when you power on the box, the thing just starts looping a video and it just goes. So it's perfect for like rolling credits or sponsor loops at shows and things like that. I think you can do it with VLC player and get it turn off all the overlays and stuff, but it just seems too fiddly to me, so I don't like that option. Are there any recorders on the market in the Hyperdeck Mini price range but does dual recording? Recording to two SD cards. Let me think. I think the new Video Assist does that. I know it has two SD card slots. I'm pretty sure it does. It's about the same price range as the Hyperdeck Mini. There's some other stuff. There's some other HDMI recorders from other brands, and they tend to get really expensive though. So the Hyperdeck Mini and the Video Assist are pretty good deals though. Have I had any trouble with the CTEC monitor not passing a Windows computer? My laptop will display on the screen and pass through to another monitor, but not the ATEM. I have not had that happen with a Windows computer, but I've also not tried with a Windows computer. I have had that happen with a camera, and I can't remember which camera it is. And I don't remember what the deal was. I think it just has to do with the source signal. Sometimes it's not strong enough to pass through. I don't really know. Yeah, it's weird. This is why I don't like HDMI. That's why I'm switching my entire studio to be SDI. For later playback, is there any benefit to recording from an ATEM Mini Pro by streaming into a streaming bridge to a Hyperdeck as opposed to recording to an SSD attached to the USB-C? Yes, there is. So, because the difference is the encoder that is streaming, the streaming encoder in the ATEM Mini Pro is completely different than how it outputs the signal to USB or streaming or recording to the SSD. So, wait, now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm wrong. Let me back up. USB webcam out is different from the streaming encoder. The streaming encoder should be sending the same thing to the streaming bridge as it does to the USB drive when it records to an SSD. It's using the one encoder it has, the H.264 encoder, to record your program bitrate to disk or stream it. So why might you want to stream it and then capture it in a Hyperdeck? The recorded file in the Hyperdeck would be not H.264 compressed, possibly, but it's already been H.264 compressed, so I don't think you gain anything by doing that. Yep. Okay, I thought that through. Tricky question. But no, I think I don't think there's an advantage to recording on the Hyperdeck in that case. Now, recording on the Hyperdeck via HDMI out is a different story because the HDMI out is not compressed with H.264, so you would get a much better quality signal that way. Cool. I have an HDMI input. It stays on and shows for 2 MN, and then flashes, then goes to black. I unplug and plug back in, works for minutes, and then flash, and then black screen. That's weird. 2 minutes is a very long time for that kind of error. I would expect something more like 2 seconds, and then it would fail. I guess it depends on what the device is. Not sure I can help much unless I know what the device is. All right, let me see. Again, if you do have a question, make sure you mention my name. Otherwise, I'm going to assume people are talking to each other in the chat. How would you add 10 distant people and more into a live stream? Zoom is a nightmare to use, and Skype with NDI is very unstable. Zoom isn't actually that bad. I would say probably give Zoom a chance because it can do a lot and you can have a lot more control over it than you might think. And for 10 people that need to talk to each other, Zoom is probably going to be your best bet, honestly. If you are, so there are a couple of other options. There's there's StreamYard. So let me find that link. Do I have a link to StreamYard? No. StreamYard.com. So, okay, here's StreamYard. This is cool. What StreamYard does is it is a website. It's an entirely web-based switcher, video switcher, essentially. And you send links out to people and they can join the stream. And then it kind of works like Zoom where you're in a giant conference call, but then you can also stream from that software. And it is a lot easier to control than Zoom, and you get a lot more flexible layouts. I don't know if it can do 10 people. I know that it does 4 just fine, and I've used it with 4 people plenty. They do have higher plans that can go, oh, they upped it. Okay, the free plan now can do 6 people, and the paid plans can do 10 all at the same time. So that is, yeah, super cool. And it does HD now too. They upgraded that as well. Very cool. But yeah, more than 10, I don't know, that's starting to become a challenge. There's some other ones like Lightstream Studio, I think, is another one similar to StreamYard. It's a little bit harder to use in my opinion. And I gave up on it because it was just too complicated, but it's more flexible also. You get more flexible layout options. And let's see. What is the limits for number of guests? You have to pay a bunch to get up to their 1080. Oh, do they even have 1080? Maybe they don't. Up to 7 guests. Okay, yeah, so it looks like StreamYard overtook them on the feature list. That's cool. But I would honestly give Zoom a chance. Give it more of a chance because it can do a lot. In Resolve, the quickest method is using the cut page for editing using Smart Sync and placement. Casey Ferris has a very good crash course on Resolve 16. Cool, yeah, take a look. Do you recommend any specific HDMI cable for better resolution when connecting multiple cameras to the ATEM Mini? It's not really going to affect the resolution because it's digital, but what it will do, better cables will be able to run longer distances and have less chance of the signal just like randomly dropping. If you use like a really thin cable and go a long distance and the camera isn't sending a good enough signal, you might end up having the signal just drop out periodically. So generally the thicker and shorter, the better. So if you don't need a long cable, don't get a long cable. But I use, most of my cables in the studio are like 3-foot or 6-foot, and they're the slim kind, because at that distance, it doesn't matter. You don't need the super shielded ones. Okay, wait, question about the USB output. More compressed if I'd stream directly from the ATEM. No, I said that wrong. So the USB recording to disk is the same as streaming. It's the same encoder doing both things. However, the webcam out is a completely different way of representing video. So, of course, it depends on what you're capturing it into on the computer end, but it is a very different signal than what the ATEM is streaming. Oh, back on the YOLO box. I set the ATEM ISO to 30 frames, 1080. My camera, 30 frames, 1080 as well. And then HDMI does not show any video image. That is really strange. That should work just fine. I don't know what to tell you. It should be fine. Like that should work fine. Maybe you might at that point, if that's not working, I guess like double check that the HDMI out of the ATEM is actually showing something on a monitor. And if it is, then I would start going to support of YOLO box, honestly, because that sounds like that should work. I wish they made a streaming bridge that was a transmitter rather than a receiver. That is essentially a video encoder. And I wonder if there would be any reason for them to actually ship that product. I guess it would be slightly cheaper than an ATEM. So the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, or Pro, is that, right? It just can do a lot more, and obviously it doesn't have SDI. So if they could make a streaming bridge encoder that was $245, it seems like a valid product. Then people could, yeah, you know, actually, now that I'm saying this, I feel like that's probably going to happen, because the SDI world of ATEM switchers is really missing out on a lot of the stuff right now. Like, they don't have a streaming encoder for YouTube. They don't have, they don't have a lot of this stuff. So the streaming bridge encoder would make a lot of sense to connect to an existing SDI-based workflow. That'd be a cool idea. How big of an SSD would you recommend for 2-hour recordings with the ISO? So that's a good question. The ISO does tell you when you have the record all camera box checked and you plug in a drive, it'll tell you how much space, like how much time is left on the drive. I don't remember offhand the number. You could do the math though, but my 2 terabyte SSD that I use for this, I feel like has more than 2 hours available on it. I'm not sure how much more than 2 hours. The math though would basically be 70 megabits a second times 4 for your 4 ISO recordings, and then whatever your program bit rate is. So let's say 70 at the worst. So 70 times 5, 350 megabits a second. I think the audio is probably not worth factoring in because it's so small. So what is that? 43 megabytes a second. So times 60, 2.6 gigabytes a minute. So you need 300 gigabytes for 2 hours. I don't think I did that math right. Somebody can do the math and tell us. But in any case, I'm pretty sure a 2 terabyte drive works fine. I should know better than to do math live. Okay. So my computer is doing this amazing thing where Chrome just decides to stop. So I've just had a little spinner right now, so I can't do anything in the chat. So that's cool. But what I can do is go over to the other table and show you this new microphone. So let me switch over to I'm missing some buttons here. Let's see. Switching to the overhead camera. And switching over to the other audio. So the question is, can you hear me? And do I sound okay? Let me know, because I can see the volume levels, but I can't actually hear it. Sounds great. Okay, cool. I'm on the right microphone then. So this is a new microphone that I am actually pretty excited about trying. This is from Hollyland. They just launched it, and the much more, oh, people are saying much more hiss. It's because my fan is going nuts over there. I think I'm just going to have to deal with it. My computer fan just decided to like turn into a rocket ship, probably because Chrome is spinning out. So that's awesome. Yeah, the echo, don't talk to me about the echo in the room. But anyway, back to this microphone. So Hollyland sent this to me because they just launched it and they wanted me to take a look and do a quick test. So we will open this up. I've already technically unboxed it, but we'll see what's inside. Anyway, and give it a little try right now. So this is a very cool dual microphone setup, like a nice little case here, and dual microphone wireless, and it comes in a very cute little box, which I absolutely love. So this is the device, and see if I can get some light on it. There we go. Oh, that's better. So this is the microphone. It comes in this little case, receiver, and 2 transmitters. And these are extremely, extremely small. It is kind of hard to describe how small these are. These are actually smaller than the Rode Wireless Go. And then the rest of this, it comes with a lot of accessories. Some of which we do need, some of which we don't. It's got little wind screen poofs. It's got a lav mic attachment. And there we go. This is what I need for the camera. The transmitters look like they're the size of the GoPro batteries, pretty much. They are very, very small. You need to paint them white so that they can be seen more easily. Yes. That is in fact true. So these are already paired up, and this is, yeah, they're just on now. And this receiver does a couple of things. Let's see if you can see the screen. So it has a couple of modes. You can switch into, right now it's in mono mode, so both microphones. This would be what you would use if you had a microphone on 2 different people and you wanted just a mix of both of them. But you can also switch it into, let's see, which one is the mode button? If you long press on one of these buttons, then, okay, now it's in stereo mode where it is recording a safety track. So one is lower than the other, and then the last mode is a stereo mode where it's actually right and left channels separately, which is better for if you're doing like an interview that you're going to edit later, not live streaming, because that would be really annoying having one person on each ear. But if you're editing later, that would be really handy. So I'm going to switch it back to mono and go ahead, and I'm going to wear one here, and I want to compare that with the lav mic that it comes with as well to see which one does better in here. And oh, okay, my computer calmed down. That's good. So this one I'm going to connect to their little I'm running out of places to put microphones. Oh, I just missed that. Okay. And now I'm transmitting both to the base station. And I'm going to go ahead and put this onto, oh, the other cool thing. So it's got line out, right, for running to the camera, like you'd expect, but it also has headphones. So you can actually monitor from the receiver too. That's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and switch over and show you the... Can I do that? I don't think I can do this right. Oh, it worked. Okay. I'm just going to put this up on the camera. All right, now with any luck, there's the small amount of the room with the soundproofing. Yeah, I've got these little panels floating around. They're not good. So let me switch over to that. I think I need to switch to my multi-view, which you're going to see because of the way this is set up. So I'm getting audio in from the camera. It looks like it's pretty hot. Yeah, it is going to be. It's going to be super distorted. I need to adjust the camera audio down a bunch before I turn that on. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to run this differently. I'm not running this into the camera. No. Okay. Focus, please. I'm going to put this into the ATEM Mini instead. All right. Now, do I see levels? I do. However, it is set to low, and there we go. You can see what I'm doing because you're seeing the multi-view. Okay, this seems a bit low now, but let's go ahead and switch over. Now you're listening to mic 2, which you actually are hearing both microphones. So let me mute one of them. And yeah, now you're hearing just one. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the headphone monitoring over here. How does this sound? No? Oh. Very low. Oh, I bet I have. There we go. Oh! Sorry about that. The ATEM was set to not microphone level. Sorry. Yeah, the ATEM was saying it was the line level, which is not what it was. Cool. Okay, that was fun. Sounds better now. So you're listening to the one here. So if I talk into it, now it sounds a little better. So as a lav mic, you're getting more of my room sound because because I don't have good sound here and it's not in my face. Let me switch over to the other one. Okay, this is now this one. This one is on now. Oh yeah, I like it when it's this close. So, seems highly directional, people are saying. It does, yeah, but I guess isn't that what you would expect from this kind? It would be cool to compare with a wireless Go. Let's see if I can do that, because I should. It's usually in this case. Oh, it's sitting right here. Oh yeah, let me show you how the size compares. So I should probably switch to off of the multi-view. There we go. So yeah, it's actually a little bit smaller than the Rode, which I think is pretty impressive. Oh, and then the charging. There's no USB ports on it because it charges in the box. There's little charging connectors down there. They're kind of hard to see. But you just set it in and it's charging, which I like a lot. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I need to do some tweaking. I need to do some tweaking with the ATEM audio probably to make this sound better, because I don't have, this is just everything sort of like at its default. But yeah, I think they're pretty cute. Definitely a different sound though than the overhead microphone, which is directly, you know, that's actually like about a foot from my face up there. I can actually show that to you. So this is what it looks like where, you know, on this desk where I've got the Samson mic up there about like a, well, I guess it's a little over the foot. But that's what you're hearing right now. Oh, sorry. I forgot to turn off the other one. Multiple mics. Interesting. I wonder if, was there a delay on that? That would be interesting to know, because if you heard a echo, it means that there's a slight delay in the wireless one. That would be interesting. Or it could be speed of sound difference. Yeah, but they're like inches different. No delay, so just echoey probably. Yeah, cool. And yeah, anyway, that's pretty cool. So yeah, thanks to Hollyland for sending that out. That's I'm going to experiment with them more and, you know, try it with all the little accessories. Try the little fluffy thing to muffle the wind. Comes with 2 of these. It comes with a USB cable for charging and the charging box. And yeah, you do need to keep the charging box. It is not just a case. There is a little slot in here for, it looks like it's like, it could hold more things. And I really want to be able to like put things into it, but it's not quite big enough for that. You can put like the little extra windscreens. I think you can, yeah, these will fit. You can put the windscreens in there, but it's not quite big enough for like all of the accessories, unfortunately. So, but it does pack up into, everything fits into this bag nicely. Cool. All right. That is the LARK 150. Pretty cool little device. Is there a power supply in the box? No, it's a USB. So the back of the box has a USB-C connector, and that's how you charge the box, which then has a battery in it. And the battery in the box charges the both devices while it's in the box. As you can see, it's not plugged in, but it's charging now. Charging that little device. Cool. Okay, let me go back to my computer so that I can take a look at the chat again. And now we're back. Okay. Now that Chrome decided to think about what it has done. How are we doing on time? What else? Oh, so yeah, the reason you were seeing the multi-view from that is because I changed things again. So I wasn't Last week I was streaming from that desk to this desk over the network using the streaming bridge. And that adds a, like, about a 1 second or slightly less delay to the signal. And that means that, like, I have to run audio from that when I'm over there. Otherwise, it's like a second delay, which is just outrageous. So the difference with this setup is I actually ran an SDI cable between the desks. So my my ATEM over there, HDMI out, is now running a 25-foot SDI cable around the room over to this desk, which gets rid of the delay. And that's really cool because it means that I can run audio from this ATEM and sit over there, or audio from that ATEM and sit over here now. So the streaming bridge setup was just because I wanted to try it and see if it would work. And it does, and now I know the limits of it. This is a much more realistic scenario since I am in one room here. It's not, I don't need to use the network to transmit that. But with the SDI, the downside is I lose multi-view because I'm using the HDMI out for running the SDI signal, which means whatever my screen is showing is what's on YouTube. So it's fine for this where I can, like, show you the multi-view of the screen and, you know, you get it, but obviously that wouldn't work for most other situations. So probably not going to leave that setup permanent. That was just because I've still got that ATEM over there, and I don't mind showing you the multi-view of that ATEM. Yeah. Cool. Okay, let me scroll back up a little bit. Yeah, I need to do some EQ on that microphone to make it sound a little better. Interesting that it's flat when it is not close. That was interesting. Sounded a lot different when it was close up to my face. Oh, and then yeah, well, I'll try that later. I have a little, I got a long time ago, a little, like, headset microphone, and it does actually plug into that transmitter as well. So I want to try that and see, because then the microphone will be right there. And it's one of those, like, beige colored ones. Two mics are active. Yes, delay, no delay. Oh, what's the pricing? That is a good question. I don't actually remember the pricing of that. Oh, but I should drop a link to that microphone. Should have done that a while ago. Here's the LARK 150. I would have done that before, but my browser was frozen. So it's a Hollyland LARK 150. Wonder how it would compare to the new Ceramonic. I haven't used that one. I do also wonder how it would compare. 3D print a bottom drawer to the mic box. That would be fun. That's a good idea. I like it. I am still wearing the lav. I don't know why. I guess I don't need it on anymore. And I haven't tested the battery life because this is the first time I've, like, actually used them. So I'm gonna try. I'll see what it's like. But in my experience, if it's anything like the Rode Wireless Go, it's, like, totally fine for almost everything. Oh, Patrick is saying, I plug my Rode Wireless Go into power when I use it for longer events. That is a fair point. There is no USB power on these things, so they have to be only battery powered. Whereas with the Rode, you can USB power them consistently. Yeah, my second camera is set to auto exposure. It is mostly intentional because I was just lazy. If I do a edited video on that, I will make sure to get clearer shots. Oh, this is a good question. What's the best option streaming from the ATEM Mini Pro from a remote location? Do hotspots even have Ethernet connections? They do. They do. You can get a LTE modem here. This is the one that I like. GLI Net X750. This is a LTE modem with Ethernet ports. There we go. Drop that into the chat. So that thing is it looks like a little, I don't know, Wi-Fi access point, Wi-Fi router, but it's actually got a SIM card slot, and then so it gets its internet connection from the SIM card, and it can make a Wi-Fi hotspot, and it can also, you can plug in stuff to its Ethernet ports. It's got like, I think 2 or 3 or something. And that way you can plug in the ATEM into that. You can also plug in your computer into that. And then everything's on the LTE. It's great. It's super cheap for what it is. It's actually, what is it? Like $150, which is, I think, pretty reasonable. And it does not do bonding. So it's just one connection at a time. But if you do want a bonded modem, those get much, much more expensive. So take your pick. And thank you for the reminder. Let's not forget to like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Thank you all for joining. With a transmitter streaming bridge, you could send a preset device to a remote contributor and just have them plug in a camera. Yeah, it would be even less setup than sending an ATEM. I like it. Does the YOLO have to be online in order to work, or can you switch inputs while offline? I don't know why you would want to switch. I don't know why you would want to use it as an offline device. That's the thing. It's like, it's meant for live streaming. So it expects to get an internet connection when it turns on. Like, it does expect that when the first time you turn it on, it has an internet connection to like log in. After that, I think it'll like, you can do graphics and stuff with it not on an internet connection, but there's not really any point, because like it's not like the ATEM where like you could use that entirely offline and have it be useful because it can do HDMI out of the whole mix. YOLO Box is a streaming encoder. Yanzo, yes, it would depend on your cell phone data plan. So I actually took the SIM card from my phone and dropped it into that router, and it worked fine. So my home internet went out at one point, and I put my SIM card into that router and plugged that router in place of my home internet uplink. And my entire house was then just using my cell phone's LTE connection for an hour or whatever. Burned through a lot of data real quick. So I do have my overhead lights. I don't know what Sora bulbs are, but I do have they're LED strips, and they're individually addressable LEDs, and they're like pretty dense. And I have them in the box. I need to now mount them and then wire them. And I did get I got a box, like an enclosure to put the power supply and stuff in, and then it was a little bit too small to cram everything I need to. So I have a different one coming. I think it's arriving today, unfortunately. So I'm gonna end up probably doing that project this week at some point. And yeah, with any luck, it should be pretty straightforward once I get that new box, drill a few holes into it, and screw it into the ceiling. Crossing my fingers. The streaming bridge can only be streamed to from the ATEM Mini Pro or ISO. I did test that. Cannot stream to it from OBS or other things, unfortunately. I feel like that's a fake limitation that they did, and I'm kind of annoyed about it. Here's a good question. As SDI is a Pro option compared to HDMI, what's the closest streaming device to the ATEM Mini Pro with SDI inputs and similar features? I don't think there is anything. Honestly, so Roland has some video switchers that do have SDI. What is it? Roland V1 HD? No, SD. Let me find this. V1 SDI. So Roland has this thing, which is an SDI based 4-input switcher, but it's super different from the Mini, and it still does not have a streaming encoder. It works very differently from the Mini. The picture-in-picture, the way that works is totally different. The TV Studio HD is has 4 SDI inputs, also 4 HDMI, but it's missing the streaming encoder. The key with the Pro is that they built in that streaming encoder, and it's like, that's what makes this thing so powerful. So I think if you're in an SDI world, like you're probably going to end up buying a dedicated SDI H.264 encoder at that point. Yeah. Yeah, and the TV Studio HD doesn't have as good of a chroma key. The Mini is using like the new Fairlight audio mixer and the new chroma keying. It's all got the upgraded stuff. TVS HD is not up to par yet, so hopefully they update that. Oh, Epiphan Mini, that's a good point. Epiphan Mini probably is the closest. That's a new one. I forgot that just launched. So the Nano just launched. The Mini is their older one. The key there is it is a lot more similar to the ATEM because it does include the streaming encoder and it can record to an SD card. It actually can do a ton of stuff. It can do like, it can do SRT as well. That thing is cool. It's also like $3,000. So it's, yeah, not quite the same price range as the ATEM Mini Pro, but at least it has all the features built in. It's very expensive, yes. Yeah, honestly, if you have an SDI workflow, I would actually consider getting an SDI to HDMI converter and then using an ATEM Mini Pro for your streaming because it's a pretty affordable way to do it and pretty powerful. The Epiphan Mini is $1,300. Oh, no. The Mini is not $1,300. The Mini is their older one. The Nano one, I think that's cheaper. The Preroll Mini is $3,500. The Preroll Nano is $1,500. The Nano, I don't think that has SDI. Oh, it does have SDI. Okay, good. At least one. One SDI and one HDMI. I don't know. Yeah. Expensive. All right, Roland V50 is $6,000 and has multiple SDIs. Is that the one that actually includes a streaming encoder also? Because I know most of theirs don't. And, okay, cool. Well, let me just wrap up with a couple of reminders. If you, I launched this website last week. It's still a little rough around the edges, but it's pretty cool. So take a look at this link, aaronpk.tv/products. Oops, I still haven't fixed my chat overlay when it contains links. At least it's over my light colored shirt. But that link, that lets you search all of my affiliate links that I've created. So when I drop links into this chat, for example, it's going through this, so you can go back to that website and search them later. So take a look at that. Pretty cool little tool. I'm planning on doing some fancier integrations with it as well. I'm going to try to make it so that if you search for a product there, you'll be able to actually then link to the timestamp in the video where I mentioned that product. So that's my goal with that. So keep an eye out for that. You should hopefully see like watch video link soon. And what else? Then there's also my newsletter, news.aaronpk.tv. And that is a great way to get reminders when I'm going live because YouTube does not always send out those reminders, even if you have subscribed and clicked the notify button, which I feel like is particularly ironic. So take a look at that link, and that sends out an email a half hour before I go live, which is always this time. But I'm probably over the next rest of the month going to jump in and do a bunch more live streams during the week. So I did a surprise live stream with Joseph last week on Tuesday. I'm probably gonna do some more of those as well. And that will be doing things like unboxing other products as well as some chill build with me. Like when I start programming the lights, I might do a live stream while I program the lights live. And I've got a couple other new products coming in to play with as well and build some fun little extensions. The forum is a great place to go and post questions throughout the week. The forum.livevideotech.today, that is myself, a bunch of us hang out on there and post questions, talk about stuff, share rigs, post photos of like your ATEM builds. Everybody loves to see those. So that's always a blast. And all right, with that, I think I'm going to wrap this up. And I don't have an outro button because I have messed up all my macros again. So with that, let me go ahead and load that graphic. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining, and have a great rest of the day wherever you are from, or great rest of your morning or evening. And yeah, see you next time.